And welcome to the J&K Show. It looks a little different on my end. We tried to upgrade. A lot of you guys weren't happy with our stuff. You thought that we were, not cool enough with our stuff. So I went ahead and we got some new things. Still working out the kinks, but we're in the final week of the regular season of the NFL. And so there's a lot to discuss of how things have played out. We'll start off first with our team, this team right here, the horseshoe, right? Things obviously haven't turned out the way we wanted, and it's going to happen. I kind of predicted a little bit that we wouldn't win another game, and we were still going to finish with a losing record, and I definitely think that that's going to happen. What's your kind of take on this ending to the Colts season, Jay?
Just same old shit, different year. Basically,
they fooled us
big time. But we can't. We just seems like the team can't get out of its own way at times, and there's stuff that's been going on. You can't really predict or know when injuries are coming.
I think
I think what probably should have happened is as soon as they realized that Danny had a break in his leg, he probably should have been pulled out. And at that point you're still in contention and everything, and I get it. But if that saves his Achilles, then it saves the beginning of next year too. So we don't have a question mark at quarterback going into next year.
Yeah.
So I would have liked to have seen that. Looking back now, of course, hindsight's 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But and then it would have given Riley a chance to go. Maybe we try to pick somebody up. Free agent. Maybe we still pick up Rivers. I don't know. But I just think that maybe if that would have been handled a little bit differently, maybe things would be different. Maybe he would have been healed up after 2 or 3 weeks to let the bones set or whatever, and maybe he could have come back. And we'd still be in contention. But I think maybe that should have been done. That's the only complaint really that I have, because the fall off, a lot of people are going to blame defense, of course, and they played like shit most games. But I just think certain things could have been done different. Yeah, big time. Now, like when Phillip came in at Seattle, the defense stepped and played a hell of a game. I mean, defense was really good up in Seattle. And they were probably fired up for Phillip. He's probably in there, gosh darn it.
They may have used everything they had in that game to some degree, and when it didn't go right, it may have kind of hurt their spirit that they need to take into the games. Like
that was a demoralizing loss too.
It was a little bit, yeah. Especially a 60-yard make by a new kicker.
Yeah.
You just kind of felt like, yeah, we freaking got this game. Nobody thought we could, and then oh no. We'll start more chronologically. So you're touching on Daniel Jones. I am of the belief that you have to play him as long as he wants to play, because the way the NFL playoffs have worked this year, you have the NFC, AFC, they have been very strong teams that have been selected, and we pretty much know who's getting in. The only ones that are up for the air are basically the 2 worst divisions, right? The other 3 are like, these are the best teams. They're all getting in. These are the best teams. And so for me, I'm like, unfortunately, we actually fell into a scenario where 2 of our teams in our division were actually pretty good teams this year. So I actually don't think that we would have made the playoffs benching Daniel Jones, playing Riley or Rivers, or I don't think it would have ended up any differently or better for us in any way, because again, our schedule was still difficult. So could he be healthy right now without an Achilles? For sure. But that doesn't change the Colts spectrum as far as, okay, did we make it, or what's our chances and this and that. I don't think we would be playing for a chance to get in the playoffs this week, because the other teams are just simply too good at this point in the year, and we had suffered too much with Ward and with Sauce Gardner and Buckner and certain guys going down and missing games at certain points. Like, I don't think we had quite enough to go our way late in the year. I don't think the Daniel Jones thing is as much of a concern as far as how we did it. Now, in hindsight, I look at it and say there wasn't much choice to it. It was probably just going to go this way. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that second half of the schedule was brutal. I mean, you probably didn't see it until maybe week 4 or 5. It was like, this last half could be trouble. It's like, enjoy being 8-2, because we're probably going to finish 10-7. Because that's the way I looked at it. I was like, if we can finish 10-7, maybe 11-6, we would be okay. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and shit on them too much, but I think there are key defensive players that we need to focus on if they really need to be here next year or not. So
A
I
lot of
am
questions
kind
about
of.
Zaire Franklin.
He's one of them for sure. You
Yeah.
know, he definitely. I think Pratt double outplayed Zaire Franklin, and since he came into town, Pratt's been
Pratt
amazing.
has, you could just tell, like, from game to game how much better he was able to get, and it's like,
Oh
so he's
God,
getting comfortable.
his pursuit and coverage for a
Yes.
linebacker is amazing.
Yeah, so he
And we
is
see that
like,
Zaire can't cover for shit.
he's the best outside linebacker we've had since probably Okereke, right? Like, there
I
hasn't
would
been
agree with
anyone,
that.
and he might, the way he's played lately, he might be even a little better than Okereke, and he might be more like Cato June. Like, he might be
Yeah.
that talent of guy, in my opinion. But normally we have a great Mike, normally we have a great Zaire or a Darius Leonard, and we're looking at this and going, do we need a new middle linebacker? I'm telling you, there are times every single year there's a stud middle linebacker and coming out of college that I'm like, man, I'd be nice if we had him. And that doesn't mean I don't like Zaire, but there's always a couple stud middle linebackers, and I'm just like, man, get our hands on one of them. That's a culture setter.
Yeah. I I'm kind of. I would even say maybe he's more like a Anthony. It was Anthony Walker with he was
Yeah,
here with
but
him and Darius Leonard
yeah,
were our
he's
linebackers.
kind of like that. But again, I think Anthony played more of the Mike right before
He
Zaire.
Yeah, maybe, but
I think
that
Darius
that
Leonard actually was an
combination.
outside. Yeah, the
Yeah, I'm going with
combination.
like a total combination. You had Darius Leonard and Anthony Walker.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, beast linebackers. You know, I just we had potentially that ever since Pratt came into town, but it seems like ever since Pratt got here and got put in the starting rotation, Zaire has just fallen off. You
Is it
know,
weird how we have that scenario every few years, right? Because we had the same thing with Darius Leonard and Zaire, where for
yeah,
some reason only one of them is able to produce and the other one becomes
yeah.
like not doing well. Like, how come we can't have two perfectly fit linebackers? Why is that? Why is
I
it
don't know.
difficult?
That's the $1 million question. When you had Darius and Zaire in there at the same time, and both guys were healthy, you couldn't
Yeah.
run on us. You couldn't run. But it
But
always
the
seemed
way
like Darius was kind of, especially in his last year here, it just seemed like he was not able to pursue as well, and Zaire was there to kind of clean the mess up. And now it's reversed. You know, now Zaire's the one not hitting on cylinders. Pratt's making it, making it for him. Bless you, there, buddy.
I do think that maybe an age thing is a factor as they get a little bit older. We keep coming into these like
Yeah.
cycles of players, but I think Pratt and Zaire are close in age, so
Mm-hmm.
I think they just the scheming of what is needed and who we're playing against every week. I
Yeah.
think when we play a really good tight end, it seems like Pratt is able to flash and play really well
Yeah.
because he has to go do it. And I think for
Yeah.
our secondary, the way our secondary is built, it's pretty clear that we're in Madden, we'll just call it the nickel. We're in a nickel. We're at a 4-2-5 for
Most of the
college,
time.
however you want to look at it. That's the best lineup we can produce. So you only need two linebackers. It's still a little frustrating that we can't seem to have two pretty solid at the same time
Yeah.
because a lot of people are calling for Zaire to maybe time to move on. And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
we were doing great in the
I
beginning
don't.
of the year.
Yeah. I don't think he needs to go anywhere. Maybe he's just not completely on board with Lou's defense yet. You know,
Maybe not.
maybe he's just not used to certain verbiage or something. You know, if you see something in their lineup, then just switch the defense to this instead, and that'll cover up that ship. Maybe he's just not seeing it, but Pratt does. But he's been in Lou's defense for years, so he knows what to look for, what to see. Maybe you just let him take the lead and let Zaire come in and just be like the cleanup guy, because he was really good in that role too. So I don't think he needs to go anywhere. I think we give him another year, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. It just depends on contract shit. I don't know what his contract's at right now.
Yeah, we'll do more of an off-season conversation about him at some point here.
Mm-hmm.
Touching back on the quarterback a little. So I don't look at Rivers being signed as that was the wrong decision, even still.
No, no.
The way I look at it is if you watch the game that we don't get to see anymore, is how amazing is it for a quarterback to go under center and go, ready, kill, kill, kill. And then they start calling out other stuff. And they're like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Z right, 27, 27. And then he's pointing over
Mm-hmm.
here. And then and it's like, he's changing the play because he is still from that era that knows he's the
Mm-hmm.
coach on the field, right? For
Yeah.
me, that was so nice to see, even for 3 weeks of losses, for things to not go our way, and for Flip and Phillip Rivers to throw pick sixes or interceptions at the end of every single game that lost the game. The first one, really, he's just heaving it with 12 seconds. Not really a thing. But the last 2 games,
Yeah.
he lost us games with picks. I understand it's frustrating. He didn't throw the ball bad. Within 25 yards, he had enough zip on that ball that he was still solid. Of course, he didn't have a deep ball so much. He kept underthrowing it by about 2 yards. But that still creates a PI possibly. That gives Pearson them the opportunity to high point a ball, even if it's 45 yards downfield. I'm not looking at
Mm-hmm.
those scenarios and saying, you know what, Philip was hurting us, because his commanding of the team was so refreshing, and we haven't had that since he was really there. Even Carson and Matt
Yeah.
Ryan didn't command the offenses with that level of confidence. You could just
Mm-hmm.
tell he knew exactly what he was doing, and he got us in the right play a lot. So
Oh yeah.
I'm thankful that he played for us yet again, and he might even get a little Colt Circle love. They might put him in the Ring of Honor, but he's only played like
For sure.
18 games with us or whatever the hell. But it was
Yeah.
nice for what was going on to see that happen. So I'm thankful. Give him 5 years of benefits for his entire family. Kudos to Phil.
Yeah. I think maybe we can, in our end zones, maybe we can take out the um, hate or whatever and just put dadgummit.
Dadgummit. I'm with it. I'm happy to have had him again. I do want to see Riley Leonard this week
I
because,
do too.
again, I like
That
Riley
was a good
Leonard.
call.
It was just in the moment we were a playoff hunting team, and I just thought putting the best person out there. If we run it 45 times and win the game, dadgummit, that's how I want to do it. I don't care. And if you put Riley in there, it's more expected. People, no matter what, they were talking on the media about, man, Philip Rivers can't throw, and it's like, well, why aren't the defenses packing the box? Because they
Yeah.
know not to do that. Because he
Yeah.
could still throw back shoulder for 15 to this right sideline. Because they don't
Mm-hmm.
want to give Philip anything. They want him to get it
Yeah.
himself. They want him to throw it through the zones and through the man to man. So for me, I'm like, you put Riley out there, they're expecting JT to get the ball. And unfortunately, you can't argue, ever since we talked MVP mid-year, he has fallen off, or we have
Yeah.
failed to put him in better positions as a team. So
Yeah.
that's a big part of it too.
Yeah. I think the reason that everybody knew that Jones was carrying an injury and he couldn't run. So I mean that he was no longer a threat. So you could put an extra guy up there on the front and you can stop Taylor.
Plus, he was just doing so damn good that you felt you needed to.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. You have to put that one guy in there.
You saw Gibbs screw it up too. I mean, it's not like impossible for running backs to suddenly have some bad games. It's because teams are like, we don't want you to beat us. Let's see what other team can do here.
Yeah, I'd rather lose to someone else than to you, like everybody else has been doing this year. So
that's a Belichick type move. You take the guy away and see what they can do outside of him.
And coming off that bye week, I mean, how many like top 10 defenses did we have to play?
Exactly.
I mean,
maybe we just
all
played
of them.
hard competition. Yeah. Maybe like the chickens come to roost to some degree. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Maybe we still lose all the games in the back half of the year, but I genuinely do think it's just because we took injuries at bad times. Because the Germany game when we beat Atlanta, that was probably the first game that I was like, we're kind of vulnerable, because there's something going on, but thank God the run game did what it still was able to do at that time.
Yeah.
But it was like shit. The first whatever it was 10 weeks have looked good to this point, but it was like you get into that game, it's like how hard they had to come back just to have a whip to win.
Yeah.
But granted, to their part, they did it. It was like we got a team who can come back if need to be. But that was the first time. It was like this last half could be trouble.
I think if I'm looking at it now, if Daniel Jones is healthy with zero injury, if we were still playing our thing, I definitely think that we would have took the Seattle game, and I definitely think we would have gotten one of the Jacksonville games, because the second one we played a lot better and we were in it. And so I definitely think with Daniel Jones, both games, one of them I think we're going to be able to get, probably the one at home.
Probably, yeah.
And we'll see how we play against Houston. But for me, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking we probably could have got 2 more wins maybe 3. So now you're looking at, well, we have 10 or 11 wins. I think we have an opportunity. We would have made playoffs with Daniel Jones, barring 0 injury. That's how close we are as a football team. So I don't want everyone in the world on these Colts pages to overreact and say, just clean house. It's like, hold on. We are
don't even
finally
do
close. We are finally close. Let's not screw
Yeah.
it up. Let's be meticulous. I trust the Ursay daughters that have been on the sidelines and been in the press booths and have been listening and watching practices, and hopefully they're going to make strong, correct decisions for us. Please don't clean house. That seems like a very knee-jerk reaction that'll set the whole process at restart again. You press the restart button. Like, come on. You know what I mean? We're close. You don't invest
Very
this kind
close.
of two first-round picks in Sauce Gardner. You invested $70 million or something over however many years for Cam Bynum and Ward, and it's like you can't invest and do that kind of deal and then turn around. Just please don't go do anything too rash.
Yeah, don't
or Ballard, one or the other or both. I hope that the whole roster overhaul doesn't come into consideration, but those are more off-season questions. I don't know.
I don't think. Well, this year Ballard finally spent money and brought guys in.
And Cam Bynum
made a difference. Ward was good when he was available, when he wasn't getting concussions.
Yes.
But I just think, man, that we have spent a lot of draft picks on the front line and pass rush lately, and it's still a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only complaint that I have, and I have no complaints about Latu. I think Latu is probably our best rusher.
Yes,
he's probably the best rusher that we got.
He was the top defensive player drafted in that year. There was 13 or so consecutive offensive guys. So he is starting to make impacts. You can see it. He is one of the better young pass rushers coming into his own.
Yeah, he can be. He may not be there yet, but he's up there with an Aiden Hutchinson. I think he could be our Hutchinson.
He could be, yes.
Could be. I want to give him maybe a couple more years before you make the comparison, but you see it. Hutchinson usually has a couple picks every year.
He's fast.
Gets some sacks. He's quick.
He's good instincts. He can jump up to bat a ball. 97 seems like he makes a play about every game. He makes some kind of play here or there. So
yeah, and they're both 97. That's kind of funny,
right?
But I would consider him our number one defensive, threat.
Pass rush, yes.
Yeah,
for sure.
I do think, as much as I don't like to say it, but I do think Buckner needs to be let loose. Who knows what that injury is? It seems like he's got a neck deal now.
Yeah.
Might have to let him go. And as much as I hate to say it, the longest tenured Colt, maybe Big Grove needs to go too. Let these other guys kind of come up too. Because those two, you're used to seeing Big Grove make a play or two every game. And it's just, you're not seeing it out of him anymore. Maybe it's because Buckner's not there to kind of take the pressure. But even if he was, I don't think those two are going to be as productive going forward, at least the level we need them to be.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well,
that's just where I'm at. And you can add Quiddy Pay too. I don't think Quiddy Pay needs to be in town anymore. I mean, we need to try get some proven guys. Maybe go spend some money if we have it. Since we don't have a draft pick, maybe get a Crosby. You never know. If we could do that,
it would be nice.
I would be okay.
If Latu had a very strong pass rusher on the other side, you need what he could do because of it,
Yeah, we need to. We can't just have one guy, be that person.
Right.
And we got to have, you got to have a Miles on one side, and then you got to have somebody on the other side that you can think, oh, well, if we put 3 dudes on him, we're fucked, because this other dude's going to come up my ass. And it's just ridiculous.
He's in your ass.
He is in there, and he's in there deep.
All right. Well, we'll move on to some of the football games we saw over the very long holiday weekend. It felt long.
It felt like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it felt really nice. The first I want to talk is the Lions blowing it to the Vikings, and we were just talking Gibbs a second ago.
Yeah.
How in the world did the Lions blow this? I'm looking at them and I'm like, they're 8-8. Like, how did that happen? They looked so good for so long.
The same thing that you hear cheered in the stands almost every week. Jared Goff. God, he was terrible. I mean,
he was Goff awful.
Goffle. Just Goffle. And 3 fumbles, dude. What the fuck? But they just didn't look like they were ready. I mean, they were going against a rookie and, whatever his name is, Brosmer or whatever it is.
I can't even believe they lost to the Vikings. I thought for sure the
Yeah.
Lions would be okay. They need a little help. Let's see what happens. And like they just crushed themselves immediately. I was like, damn, that's like falling on the sword here.
Yeah. You give the ball away a total of 6 times, I think it was. It's like you can't have 6 turnovers and win. I don't care if you're playing the Browns. I don't care if you're playing the Vikings with an all rookie team. It doesn't matter. You're not going to win.
I don't.
And
Does
that was
Jared
just
Goff
so.
need to? Jared Goff doesn't need to go.
Don't you dare.
But I will say, as far as Detroit goes, one of the more puzzling things to look at. What do you look at on their team and say, well, they need to do better here? Like I don't really know where they need to improve.
I think Penei Sewell needs to move to left tackle. I'll tell you that. Okay. He doesn't need to be on the right side anymore. Okay. He needs to be Goff's blind side guy.
So maybe they just the line. Maybe just add
the line,
somewhere that would help the line. Just Jared Goff, obviously, we saw he would get very nervous. I don't know. He plays so confidently most of the time. He's been in a groove for the last couple seasons, but this year he's shown a little wear and tear or like a little mental fatigue to some degree.
Yeah, I think it was just because they weren't having the greatest of success, midway through the season. They started to kind of hit that kind of lull in their schedule where they lost every other game. They win, then they lose, and they win, then they lose, and then they lose, and then they won.
There's not a single offensive tweak needed, though, right? There's nothing else.
I don't think so. I think their roster, at least on offense, don't mess with it.
Right.
They're fine. They are fine. It's their defense that just needs to stay healthy. I mean, it's kind of like us on the same thing, but I think Detroit's even worse than we are. The injury bug just gets them every single week.
Yeah.
And they've had the last 2, maybe even 3 years.
Because they kept Aiden healthy this year, I think a lot of people just felt like, well, they're doing better, but they did still lose
Aiden can't play corner, and he can't play safety, and he can't play inside linebacker, So
I think they need to draft a guy for the secondary. I think Rock Ya-Sin and trying to plug in different guys. I think they need to go ahead and add another depth defensive back.
But I'll tell you, Rock Ya-Sin played pretty damn good.
He did, right? You find someone who's playing well in spurts. But I think that investing on a rookie DB would be a good idea. Maybe even another guy in the trenches on defense. But I agree with you. It seems like
Why do you agree?
It seems like their offense is fine, and if you can find a nice lineman, grab one. But really, just look at the defense. And I know that's silly because people are going to be like, "Did you see how they played? Like, how is it the defense's fault that Goff and them had 6 turnovers?" And I'm like, okay, I get that. But that's an outlier, to be fair, right? The consistent problem for the season was that their defense wasn't very good at times or taking too many injuries, so they just need more depth.
Yeah.
And they created last year, but some of them left, and you thought, well, they're doing all right, they're healthy. When they were healthy this year, the Lions were one of the best teams in football.
Yep, and you go back to the Tampa Bay game, and you look no further than that. I mean, they had probably their best defensive performance of the year was in that game. And I think given the way, given the fact that the offense had 6 turnovers, to only give up 23 points, I think could be considered a win too, because they were on the field so damn much.
True.
Like, you can't really do anything if you're put in bad situations every other drive.
Like, all right, boys, here we go again.
There we go. Let's see how many plays to stay on the field this time, guys.
Hopefully for the Lions, they don't, again, make any too rash of decisions.
Yeah.
Again, they're close. They had 2 different coordinators this year. That's a big factor, right? 2 brand new coordinators. I think breaking them in different spots and when there's injuries on the defense, that puts a little harder on Kelvin Shepherd to run that defense.
Yeah.
I think he did a fantastic job. But
really good
again,
job.
How good can he, get into his bag when a lot of his guys are getting hurt again? So I think
that's stuff you can't help.
The Lions, when I look at their team and what has happened, I'm like, man, this is definitely going to be one of the best teams to miss playoffs in the last few years. So don't react crazy.
Tell you, a lot of people in the NFC playoff picture are glad that they're not in it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
They don't have to prepare for Gibbs and Williams and St. Brown. They don't have to do all that shit. So.
And moving on to the other NFC division, The Lions deserve to be there more than the Buccaneers or the Panthers. Am I right? They have fallen, like, it's egregious. I hate it's like every couple years. It's not every year, but maybe every 2 or 3, we have a division that shows their ass so damn bad that we get a crap team in. And what's funny is sometimes they find their mojo once the playoffs start and they get a game. And then that's even more frustrating when you see teams like in the past, with Marshawn Lynch's emergence taking down
the Beast
Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Like, they were 7-9. They didn't even have a winning record.
That was the year after the Saints beat us in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the year after that?
I believe so. And then the Seattle's Legion of Doom basically started.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating, and you've seen it, and you're like, well, they don't deserve to be there, and then they prove people wrong. So I'm looking at it, and Tampa Bay and Carolina, I don't think that they have any shot in hell of winning a playoff game.
Well, no. They'll be at home. I mean, I think maybe Carolina will have it. They're
going to play the best wild card team. So that's going to be, you got the 49ers, the Rams, or the Seahawks. One of whoever ends up being the second best team in that division, they're going to play them on the road against, Tampa or Carolina. I don't give them a shot in hell of beating any of them teams. None of them. Not one.
Yeah, that's gross, isn't it?
It's pathetic. So now here's the kicker with Tampa and Carolina. They have lost their way into this opportunity. You know who I'd rather see? I'd rather see Atlanta out of that division right now. They're playing awesome. They just beat the Rams, right?
Well, yeah.
Freaking Cousins, you like
that?
No,
don't do that. Don't do
that. Bijan Robinson, 93-yard touchdown. I will yell in your ear.
Yeah. He's too nice. He wouldn't do that.
He wouldn't. He did make a weird comment a couple weeks ago about Smear the Queer. Yeah. Allegedly, people were, upset about that. We all know that is a football backyard game that you play.
Everybody played it. I don't care.
But people didn't like him saying that. And it's like,
who cares? Okay. Nobody cares.
He didn't obviously mean it derogatory. It's just the name of the game. It rhymes with smear.
Yeah. So, it rhymes with smear.
It's fine.
Yeah. It's all good. Let kids be kids.
The crazy thing is that the Atlanta Falcons, after beating the Rams, are now in a position that if they win against is it the Saints? They play the Saints? Yeah. If they beat the Saints
at home,
because there's a game difference between Carolina and Tampa, even if Tampa wins the game, they still don't make playoffs. They actually need Atlanta to lose to the Saints, which can happen. Saints are playing pretty good ball too. They're playing better than they were. It's pretty crazy to think that Tampa can tie Carolina, but because of common record, conference opponent records, and whatever, all the tiebreakers, it's like the third or fourth tiebreaker. Atlanta can still keep them out of the playoffs with a win. Tampa was one of the darlings early on, and now it's like, who would we
hot garbage?
Who would we rather see make the playoffs?
Yeah, if we had a choice, I would probably just say, no, let's not do that. Let's not have the NFC South be in the playoffs this year.
I'd rather have the Lions, obviously.
No shit. Oh. Yeah, but I would just, put Detroit in over those guys and give, whether it's going to be San Francisco or Seattle, give those guys a home game.
They get a bye.
They freaking deserve it.
So
I mean, whoever loses, whoever's going to be the 5 seed, give them the home game and then bring up Detroit.
Well, I'm taking it a step further. I'm saying that one of those teams is going to get a bye as the 1 seed, and then the second best team is also going to get a bye playing the NFC South.
Yeah, so that's true. Yeah, you get 2 bye weeks. That would be awesome. But, I mean, who would have thought week 5 or week 6 we would be talking about Tampa and Carolina go down to the end of the season, last game for the division.
And that Carolina has the better record.
And that Carolina could lose and still get in the freaking playoffs and still win the division. I mean,
8-9.
We didn't see this. Yeah, losing record. And that's worse than freaking the AFC North even. I mean, let me go off on about a 2-minute tyrant here.
We're going to talk about that next.
I know. Well, maybe we can lean it in then.
We can segue.
We can segue then. But seeing how that game, because I don't know if you got it where you're at, but we had Cleveland-Pittsburgh game on over here. So I was just watching that game, and it just looked like something was funky with it, man. It just didn't. Nothing was flowing right. It just seemed like everybody was out of sorts.
It was a
And they were just
Browns team.
playing sloppy.
Ugly.
It was, yeah, but I mean, there were penalties, and it just didn't seem like the Steelers that went to Detroit and beat the shit out of the Lions.
No,
wasn't the Steelers that have been actually winning games because of their offensive output the last couple of weeks, and it just seemed awful. They couldn't, when they started to get something going, something would stop them, and they would stop it with a flag or something. And it's like, man, you can't help but think somebody was in the corner going, we could have Pittsburgh, Baltimore for the division on Sunday Night Football next week.
Well,
it's like it just seems.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had a better choice. With the way it broke, I do agree. The way it looks,
yeah,
there wasn't another game to pick. It was a very obvious choice because the Carolina-Tampa game, you could have put that on.
You don't care. Nobody cares.
If Atlanta had won, it would have made the game not matter. That was too much of a risk. So what other game can you put on there that has like any win or go home scenario? We didn't win, so we can't do it with Houston. I knew we weren't getting picked because we lost.
Yeah, and I was expecting them to have Seattle-San Francisco be the finale game because it was number one in the conference, number one seed in the playoffs, and then the loser, you got to go on the road in the wild card.
Right.
So They did
Lions.
It did have
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, there were some stipulations. They were like, okay, well, that game could be interesting because I would rather see Seattle-San Fran as a season-ending game than I would two teams that are dog shit. One's going to get a home playoff game, the other one packs it for the off season. I don't want to see that. Put that shit Saturday, but they made Seattle-San Francisco a Saturday nightcap game. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I didn't see the game. So I can't sit there and say for sure, you know what, the fix was in. They wanted to create some drama. I'll be honest, the way Baltimore played against Green Bay, they played well. Yeah. And honestly, they played well enough where, like, should Huntley actually play again? Because Lamar has been awful since he came back from
something's going on. Something's going on with his leg or something. So I don't know if it's a hamstring. I don't know if it's a calf or whatever. But yeah, he's not Lamar.
And Huntley he's
he hums.
Himself.
He's humming, dude. He's good. Yeah, he's doing a really good job not turning the ball over. They're running the ball really well. Almost 40 damn times with Henry. Give me a break.
I mean, when you're desperate, you just pound that rock with Derrick Henry.
I guess. And when it's 15 degrees outside, hit him with the biggest guy you got.
Normally, they'd be like 12 carries. We're going for the playoffs. For some reason, things haven't shook their way. And they're like, we're going to 40-piece them. Let's go.
We're going to do it.
We can do that.
Yeah. But he looked like Derrick Henry from 5 years ago, man. He hasn't aged a bit.
I think that the biggest thing you can forget with Derrick Henry is how good he can be. You have to remember that people don't want to give him 400 carries every year because they want him to last, especially for playoffs. Yeah. So people are like kind of talking like, well, he's washed up. And it's like, have you seen, when he carries the ball, you can still see like, how is he still outrunning everyone? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
He's not the fastest running back in the league, but every time he gets on the corner, he seems to be DK Metcalf down the sideline. I'm like, how is this happening?
Yeah.
It's like, because he's just a better athlete. He's a better overall athlete than people give him credit for. He's not just some Jerome Bettis guy. Bettis was slow.
Yeah.
Okay. This isn't Jerome
very
Bettis.
Slow. No.
So
it's just he gets into open space. He's so big. And it's like, I don't want to dive at this dude.
I mean, he's got the strides of like.
Yeah. Each step is 5 yards.
Yeah. Crazy.
Disgusting.
Who do you think you would pick for Pittsburgh and the Ravens? Like who do you have winning that game?
It's at Pittsburgh, right?
I believe so, yes.
I would probably give them maybe a 3-point nod. I think it's going to be it's going to kind of be like the Steelers Ravens games in the 2010s. Where it's like 13-10 or 17-14, some shit like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just going to who runs the ball better. I think Baltimore's got a better running game. So if Pittsburgh's defense can't contain Henry, it's going to be a long night. But I think Pittsburgh will probably probably end up going through because I don't know. They want Baltimore going into the playoffs with a Lane Jackson,
Yeah.
Maybe if he was
Give me
fully
the
healthy.
Ravens.
Give me the Ravens. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Ravens could win by 40 and I wouldn't be surprised. It's just both teams they don't know what they are every week. You get a different flavor of each team every week. So if their best shows up, then it'll be a great game. If one team shows up and the other one doesn't, it's going to be a blowout. You could go either way.
I would actually say Baltimore may have a better chance with Huntley over Lamar, but regardless, I think that their mindset going in and the level of desperation, I think that Pittsburgh losing to the Browns was not the wake-up call that maybe Pittsburgh fans are hoping it's going to be. I think Pittsburgh is going to blow it, and Baltimore's going to beat them. And it's going to be a nasty game. Might even see some fights, but it's going to be Baltimore all the way. Period.
Yeah, if you don't see some pushing and shoving in this game, then they both failed.
They don't even care.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking maybe the NFL wanted to set this up so they could have Aaron Rodgers fall on his ass in his last game ever.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Going back to the Tampa Bay, Carolina, who do you feel like is going to win that one?
Probably Carolina. I'm not putting anything on Tampa right now. They just look so bad, and they're not playing really good. I mean, Carolina lost their game last week too, but they just seem to be more complete than Tampa right now. They seem to know who they are. We're a mid team that can run the ball pretty good.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Tampa's just like we're just here.
I see it. They didn't play very well against Seattle, I thought.
Who did this year?
Right. Well, we did okay.
We did all right.
My prediction is that Tampa Bay does win the game, but I think that
they don't get in.
But Atlanta's going to beat the Saints because I love how Atlanta's playing. Like I said, I really wish Atlanta would have had one other game go their way. Maybe the Carolina blank early in the year. And I'm not saying that Kirk Cousins is better than Penix or anything, but they're playing within themselves, and that defense is firing again. And I just look at Atlanta as like, there's a lot of potential there. I wish they were the ones getting in, but I think they're going to beat the Saints in a close game. And I think Carolina's going to get in, and it's not going to matter what happens on Saturday. It's a good job that they put them on before Sunday so that it looks like it matters.
Get it over with. Yeah, we put these guys in as early as possible because they don't have a Thursday game this week. So we gotta get this trash off the fucking table as soon as we can.
NFL, thank you for not doing that. You put all of your games on Christmas to compete with the NBA. Thank you for not trying to compete with the CFP for college football, which we're going to talk about later on. They need to get their day. It's a tradition on New Year's to have your bowl games.
Yeah.
And we want to watch those in full. We don't want to have meaningful NFL games on at the same time. So thank you for not doing that. That was a good job.
We'll give kudos when they're due.
Let's talk about a couple other games that we had going on. So Buffalo in Philadelphia. That was a really ugly, rainy game.
Boring, snooze fest game up until the fourth quarter.
Neither team really, if you ask me, neither team played well enough to really. They didn't play that well. Josh Allen was frustrated the whole game. You finally get a little momentum, and you come back and you get a touchdown, but Badgley misses the extra point. And I think it got deflected slightly.
Yeah.
And so then they get the ball late in the game, and they drive down the field, and they score again. And they decide to go for 2. And there was a lot of speculation after the game if that was the right call or not. And if I'm being honest, the level of momentum they had and that Philly had zero, they had zero continuity, zero momentum, couldn't keep the ball, had to punt it back. I'd rather take the extra point and play for overtime. I really would.
Well, yeah. And I probably would have made the same call. I probably would have said, okay, we'll kick the extra point. But I actually heard whoever was doing the commentary for that game, I forget, but they were saying, the weather's nasty. The guys are beat up. Let's not take a chance to lose, risk losing somebody important because they're in the playoffs. Both teams are in the playoffs.
Okay.
Like you don't want to take the risk to lose somebody due to injury because of poor playing conditions. So go for 2 right now. Win or lose, you're in anyway. So what's going to hurt? It's not going to mess with their seeding, I don't think.
Yeah.
So go ahead and get in there and get off the field and get in there and get treatment. So I kind of see why he went for 2, but I would have been like, if you need the win, maybe, But
that's interesting. I didn't really think of it in that kind of way. They don't need the win, so you just play for the win and
just
just
play
take
for
what
it, yeah.
you get. That's interesting. I can see that to some degree.
Yeah. And it was the right play call. It's just Allen put the ball too
Allen
far ahead.
missed.
He
Allen
missed.
missed. You know
He
what?
missed.
And to segue into another part of that, Allen missed, and therefore I don't think he's going to win the MVP this year.
I don't think he was. I think this was. I don't think he was in the. He may be top 3.
He's
but
third.
he's definitely third. But
Mhm.
it's been Drake May, Matt Stafford since probably the last 2 or 3 weeks.
A lot of
So
people are saying that May might have played his way into the MVP.
my, who knows? He could have. I mean, he had a hell of a game, but it was. I mean, it was against the Jets. Yeah, but
Did they have 35?
I think that was that.
35 at half or 42?
Yeah, I think it was 35 at the half. But
I have to ask you real quick, how pissed were you
yeah,
when they pulled him in the third quarter in our fantasy league championship? Because he
I
could have went for
wasn't.
like 60.
Yeah, I thought they were going to pull him at halftime
Oh, so you
because they
actually
were
got
up.
an
I think it
extra.
was. I think it was like 28-3 at halftime or something like that, and it was
Yeah.
like, I think they're going to pull him. And then he comes in and gets a couple more touchdowns. I'm like, okay,
That's more than
I'm
I
good.
thought.
I was like, I'm good. That's fine. There, I could see, as soon as they hit that last touchdown, it's like he played his last snap of this game because it reminded me of the old school Belichick and Brady Patriots who they already had the number 1 seed on lock. They had everything wrapped up and everything, but they were still playing at the end of the year and they were still lighting up, putting up stats.
Right.
It's like, oh well, shit. And then everybody was giving them stuff about it, and it's like, well, that's part of the game. You got to stop it. Try to stop it.
Yeah.
We're still playing to win games. That we're competing, even though we have shit locked up.
Did New England play their way into being the favorite out of the AFC in your mind? And did Drake May move ahead as MVP for you?
I think right now, even with Denver, even if Denver gets the one, I think New England is probably the favorite bet to make it. At least make it. Maybe not win everything, but make it. Because even if New England has to go to Denver, it's cold. New England's used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's how it would come down. But I think, and if Denver loses and New England wins and New England gets that 1 seed, shit. I think it's more of a definite bet. But I think if they can lock up the 2 seed, at least like they're in right now, I don't see how you can keep them at least out of the AFC Championship, if not Super Bowl.
I see. I will say that no, as good as they are
Mm-hmm.
playing, I do not think that they will come out of the AFC. I think that Big Daddy Buffalo will still tell them that it's still theirs. I think this is the year that we get Buffalo, and I see all the writing on the wall that they're going to find a way to not get there because that's just what we've seen every single time. It's the same story.
Yeah.
And they might have an Indianapolis, kind of pathway where it's like, hey, we're really good, but hold my beer. We're going to show you the same story you saw last year. And so for Buffalo, I can understand a lot of people are like, no way, they're going to screw it up. I just think this time they are the most experienced in a way that's going to be beneficial to them. I think that Bo Nix and Drake May, one of them are going to make it to the AFC Championship game, and then they're going to miss it by just
shit
by
the bed.
end. They're just going to lose, and it's
Yeah.
the path they are supposed to go on to become better and better. I just see it being Buffalo, but I understand for a lot of people if they would say no.
The Drake May villain origin story starts this year, huh?
Basically. I
mean, he goes on his Brady run.
Here's my thing. I don't think anyone really wants to see Denver if they're not a Denver fan. I don't think other people would like to see Denver. I think that they play ugly and unimpressive football. I've been on them all year saying that they're really not that good. Yeah. But they are. They're a good team. Yeah. I don't think anyone really wants to see New England because of the Brady and Belichick era. As good as they are, and I know that they're good because Vrabel's got them humming, and it's like, damn it, he's one of the best coaches. Why didn't someone swoop him up sooner? Now we got to deal with New England again.
Yeah.
I just don't think either one of them are being rooted for. And I don't know who's being rooted for. Sleeper? The Houston Texans might be something to watch because
God, I hope not.
I don't want to see that, obviously, as a Colt fan. When I watch them play football, they might be the more complete team. CJ Stroud has been making playoffs his whole career, and I just maybe they shouldn't be getting slept on the way they might be getting slept on. Oh well, Jacksonville, like, okay, but you might end up with the home game if Jacksonville blows it to Tennessee. You never know. Tennessee, Cam Ward's playing better football. I have to give him some credit. He's been playing better these last month.
So I can't believe that just came out of your mouth.
I gotta give him credit.
It'll be over in the third quarter.
He doesn't even have a head coach. Like, good for Cam Ward. He's actually doing a little better.
Yeah, and don't forget, there's a scenario where if Miami beats New England and then Denver lose, I think that Denver plays the Chargers, but they're not going up against Herbert. If both New England and Denver lose, Jacksonville could get the 1 seed. Oh,
they will
that's
lose.
Terrible
They'll
too.
lose their first game. And look, I'm not afraid of Jacksonville. I know how good they can be, but I'm just telling you right now, I am not afraid of Jacksonville. I
don't think anybody else really is either, but I'm just saying that they could do that.
They could. That would be bad for them probably, getting a bye. I think they'd lose all their rhythm. They would be that classic first game exit if they did.
Yeah,
that.
I don't think that scenario happens because I think, well, New England's got Miami. New England really doesn't have anything to play for. Miami just did kind of shit on Tampa's season.
Yeah. Do you really, for New England, do you rest guys knowing that you could have another week's rest? Like, is that really like the smart move, or do you play them like a preseason and you play them to near halftime?
Play them. I would say play them until halftime at least. If you're up multiple scores, then okay, just maybe even play them into the third quarter and just run clock and stuff. But I think you're playing to get the 1 seed. I think you have to put your best effort forward. You want that bye week. So if you play for it, it's like, okay, well, if we're up big in the fourth quarter, we'll rest our guys.
Yeah.
And then shit will just happen. But it just depends. And I think Vrabel's mindset, I think he would probably play everybody.
If we segue into the next thing, because we're good at this.
Yeah, professional.
Coming out of New England a day or so ago, Stephon Diggs is in the headlines. Both Diggs brothers are. We'll get to the other one in a second. Stephon Diggs is in the headlines for assault and strangulation, and it is an attempt apparently on December 2nd where he attacked a in-home chef, is what is being reported, allegedly, right? Allegedly, he, over a financial dispute, he slapped this woman in the face in a bedroom, which I don't know why she would have been in a bedroom. That sounds fishy. No chef pun intended.
Ooh.
Slapped her in the face, and when she pushed him away, he put his elbow to her throat on the bed or something. So now she's on the bed. Again, it sounds a little wild. Diggs is, he might be a little freaky deaky, allegedly. I don't know. But it seems a little odd. And they're disputing the fact that this didn't happen and that she went to the police to press charges after deciding to not press charges or something. So that's why it took 30 days to find out, basically, or 28, 4 weeks to find out what's some alleged assault. We'll see if I think that can be a distraction for New England a little bit.
Yeah.
The timing is obviously not great. Yeah, I don't know. What is your take on that?
I always get fishy when these allegations come out, a month or multiple months after it's happened.
This one was 4 weeks.
I'm just usually one of those. It's 4 weeks. It's not as bad as some have been in the past, but it's like, yeah, I don't give a shit. If that actually happened, take your ass and report it right now. I don't care. This doesn't matter. You can't look at it and be like, oh, well, it's Stephon Diggs. He's a professional athlete. If it happened, fucking you got marks on you to prove it.
Right.
You don't wait until shit heals and you lose your evidence and then say, look, this is what happened. That's what makes me think it didn't happen.
Unless she maybe took pictures on her own phone the day after or something, like just, because she was unsure of what she was going to do. We don't know maybe what evidence.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that you can do. But I mean, even if you do that, that stuff can be altered and it can be doctored up. I don't really care. It's like, okay, well, these are coming to light way after things have occurred, allegedly.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we were just kind of getting around to like, man, Stephon Diggs is being a leader this year. He's being a dude. He's being a great teammate, for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And it's like he's been mature. You see him in Cardi at the end of games sometimes acting like a real couple, even though he's got 78 kids floating around out there. But you like to see, like, well, this dude's coming off a major injury.
Mm-hmm.
He's way ahead of schedule. So I mean, you like, take this whole thing out, you like how he matured this year and how more involved he's been with his teammates this year.
Yeah.
But something like this could absolutely be a distraction
Yeah.
for the team going into the playoffs, especially if it carries over.
Yeah.
You know, unless it's solved quickly, then it could bother him.
It's odd because in a year where Stephon Diggs has probably the only year maybe that he's not been a distraction, and then he finds himself being a distraction. So
It's distraction.
it's like maybe things are just like they're going to happen the way they're going to happen. But it was a financial dispute over her not being paid the full amount of something. And she apparently also tried to, shortly after, she tried to go to get her some personal belongings. So she must have been an in-home chef, maybe even stays there so she can make all the meals, which isn't really that uncommon with the celebrity type people that have the money. I'll be honest, if I had a lot of money, I would probably have that also, because taking that off my plate and having good meals all the time, that what a luxury that is. Like that's a big deal. If I can afford to pay somebody $100,000 a year to be a chef every day, like, yeah, I'm gonna probably do it. So that's fine.
Yep.
So she came to get personal belongings, and supposedly, allegedly, Stephon Diggs had a contract or a document, it was an NDA, saying to not disclose information about anything with them, right? Anything involving his interactions with her, so that she would then be lawfully not allowed to probably talk about the fact that he may have assaulted her. Of course, that wasn't probably the mentioned reason. It was more like, don't be telling everybody you're my chef or that you were fired or for whatever reason. And she refused to sign the NDA and then decided to go to the police and report it and then suppress charges and all that. So I don't know what's going to come of it. I do know that any accusation is bad publicity, regardless of the truth. It's like you said with Sharon Moore. It's not as important to have the facts. It's more important to be first.
Be first. Yep.
So I don't know.
And that's bad. That's the motto of, new media anymore anyway. So
we will see how that plays out. Going to
I really hope he didn't. If he did, really fuck you.
Yes.
But
if you did, you're attacking a woman who's a chef that feeds you. It's like, okay, you might as well just call that your mother. Yeah. Fuck you, dude.
Like, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, she's feeding you, and you can't. You don't have enough money. You have Cardi B as a, maybe you don't have money because you have too many children with too many wives or girlfriends. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, come on, man. Like, Taylor Swift's over here tipping people $600 that don't even work for her, supposedly at a Kansas City stadium, just because she's interacted with them throughout the year.
Don't bring in positivity around her.
I'm just saying that there are some celebrities that don't worry about certain things because they feel like they're in a giving mood. So I don't know how much was allegedly short in this financial problem, but it's like, come on, dude. Like, Stephon, you've shown all year that you're being more of an adult. And it's like, there's a much better way to handle it rather than possibly doing this. I don't know.
Yeah. But I think that if it comes out that he did do this and there's evidence that he did do it, you got to let him go. And nobody's going to roster him.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be done after that. He's had too many run-ins. I hope for his sake, and even for, football as a whole sake, I hope that it's not true and he's able to continue playing.
Right. Me too. And then going to the other Diggs brother. This one, I actually am on the side of Diggs. I don't know if you know the whole story, but the Cowboys played on Thursday. They played the Commanders, I believe is who it was. And he has family in that area. And so what he wanted to do after the Commanders game was he wanted to stay there and spend time with family for the holidays. They're literally there on Christmas Day. And so he wanted to stay because he was he would have flown out as soon. He didn't want to travel back with the team. And we've seen Urban Meyer do that, right? With Jacksonville. And then he had his alleged
finger guns.
He had his alleged finger gun incident at a bar. And we look at Stephon Diggs, and the Cowboys, specifically Schottenheimer, I guess, told him no, denied his request. And he again was like, I'm just going to fly back into town for the holiday weekend because we have a big break, basically. Like for the rest of the weekend, I'm going to be with family until, Sunday or Monday or whatever you guys went from practice. And then he still was like, no, you come back with the team. You fly back with the team. So Trevon Diggs, kind of showed his ass, and they waived him. What are you thinking here on that?
I would probably lean, if that's the determining factor, I would probably lean to be on Diggs' side a little bit. But if you also take it as a whole, who knows? He has not been the same player this year either. Like, he has not been.
Yeah, but
where they
point
expect him to be
seems more disciplinary. Would you?
It
agree
seems
with that?
trivial, yeah.
With that?
Very, very much so. Yeah, I think it's just them. If they would have just been like, yeah, we're not going to let Trevon Diggs play in this last game. Waiving him, I think, is kind of a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
Because who knows if that affects his payouts and money and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he wanted to stay in DC to be with family for a day or two and then fly back to Dallas, I think that's kind of a shitty thing to do to somebody. Because if I'm a head coach or an owner, I would want my player to be like, go see your family and take some weight off. We just won the game. Go see some family, refresh for 2 or 3 days, and then let's get back to work. I wouldn't have a problem with that personally. But if you're looking at maybe they had some stuff going on behind the scenes too, where they were butting heads all the time or something like that, you don't know that drama shit yet. So it was just one of those, hey, if you stay here, you're not going to play next week, or we're going to cut you, or whatever. And if he decided to stay, fuck it and go anyway, then it's like, all right, we told you if you were going to do that, this is what's going to happen. So it's just things playing out.
Yeah. There's an NFL insider trying to report more information.
Get really
on SportsIllustrated.com.
An insider.
Skim it a little bit. Basically, conversations. It looks like the way he decided to rehab his knee after his ACL in 23. They're basically, this looks like a save face for the Cowboys. I could care less. In my mind, they were being assholes. Personally.
Well, like he wanted to get an independent trainer or something like that.
Like he wanted to do some different rehab at home, or do like some more personal rehab to his own liking or something.
Yeah,
and
it's his fucking leg.
For me, yeah, like literally his leg. That he tore playing for your team. This mantra.
Yeah.
If a guy isn't going to be ready during a timetable, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
You could void things in his contract, or you need to write it in a certain way. That's like, if you do your own personal regimen outside of team regimen and you elect to do that, then you maybe put certain bonuses in jeopardy depending on if you're able to suit up. So like his ACL, if he's not able to come back during a timetable that the team doctors would have given him for his rehab, and he did his own rehab, and he wasn't able to play during a time that he should have been if the team would have granted that, well, then you could have some kind of incentives up for jeopardy or at risk because he elected to do that. To sit here and try to use it now as we have had constant problems with Trevon Diggs this entire time, and so we decided to waive him. It's like, dude, what a save face thing. And again, I'm only talking about what is being reported. So if there's other things, he's constantly walking past Jerry Jones and giving him the bird. Like, obviously there's that I don't know, right? But for me, I'm looking at it and I'm like, you waived this guy because he constantly wanted to do things his way. Well, okay, screw you, Cowboys. Like, for me, I'm looking at it and I'm like, he didn't probably, from my perspective, do anything well enough to be waived. And what I hope happens is he ends up on a team before the deadline for the playoff, because I think he has like a certain day he has to join a team to be playoff eligible. I hope he ends up on a team that has a real shot. Maybe, hopefully not like the favorite, because that would be a little annoying. Yeah. But like a team that has a shot and plays well, because he was playing fairly well. I didn't think he was playing up to his $97 million contract for the last two or three seasons or whatever he had.
Yeah.
I think that's what he had left owed to him was $97 million. He was playing down. Yeah, $97 million extension when they signed him. So he wasn't playing as well. But for me, I hope Trevon Diggs lands on a team and they play well. Cowboys, man, sometimes they're crazy annoying. I don't know how you can be a Cowboys fan.
Yeah. I don't either. It just seems like Jerry is that old school white suit plantation guy, right? He just comes out and just
Mm-hmm.
just find, instead of going out and sitting on his porch and drinking a tea and finding a reason to be happy,
Mm-hmm.
he's just like, man, how can I fuck something up today?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do? What can I see right now on the horizon that's going to make me mad so I can complain?
Well, it's one of those, there's no such thing as bad publicity. I feel like he gets in the headlines for anything because he
Yeah,
always, I think this really might be a possibility if you've seen the documentary. I think that if you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, it's making him money. For
yeah,
him, I think in his head, the way he's operated, it feels like a very logical possibility that it's like, well, if the
yeah,
Cowboys are in the headlines, it's making money.
yeah. I think he, in his own mind, he's living in the old school TV show Dallas, where he's the main character. But let's not forget what happened to the main character in that show.
Or so like Dukes of Hazzard, where he's boss, whatever.
Dude, don't defame Dukes of Hazzard like that.
What
They
was
didn't
his
do
name? Boss
anything.
Hog or something like that?
Yeah, that ain't Jerry Jones. Boss Hog was a funny dude. Don't you shit on the Duke boys like that.
What was that? Burt Reynolds in the new Dukes of Hazzard was Boss Hog?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Burt Reynolds was in it, and so Jerry Jones, the next Dukes of Hazzard, probably has to be Billy Bob Thornton. Would have to be the next Boss Hog, right? Because he looks
See
like
that?
he looks right. Landman, by the way, if
He
you haven't
does.
watched it, Landman is fucking awesome.
It's hilarious.
It's really
I
good.
find that show is more funny than it is dramatic in my eyes. Anyway,
Right? It's one of the
a
most
good
funny dramas.
shit talking hillbilly.
Yeah.
I love it.
So good. I think we covered all NFL. Let's go ahead and transition. Tonight is the CFP first game, and then we have 3 more tomorrow night. This is our say goodbye to 25 show, but I forgot to open with that at the beginning. I should have wrote it down, but say goodbye to 25 New Year's Eve special.
Later.
So talking CFP tonight, these are all neutral sites. I want to preface that ahead of time. The first round, they play road games, the bottom guys. However, today, all for the rest of them are all bowl games because the bowl people were like, we're going to get our name on those games. You're not taking us away. Fine. But then they're all neutral sites. Rose Bowl, Orange Bowl, all them deal. Tonight, Miami versus Ohio State. Now, who do you have winning that game, Jay? And I know that you don't care for Ohio State. So
Ohio State by at least 21.
Ooh.
It's not going to be close. I know Miami and their fans are bringing up 2001 and all that stuff. When I don't care. It's not then, it's now.
Yes.
I mean, Ryan Day's a better coach than Cristobal. Julian Sain's a better quarterback than Carson Beck. They have better wide receivers. They have a better defense.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if Miami scores 10 points.
Okay, so I'm not going to go that far.
I am. I mean, I watch Ohio State a lot to keep tabs with them. And as much as I hate them, you still have to look and say, they're fucking good. And the only time that they lost was to another fucking good team, and it was by 3. So it's not even going to be close.
Anyway.
Not tonight, anyway.
Okay, so for one, I will admit, I was actually surprised that Miami beat Texas A&M.
Oh, I was too.
It was a very ugly game. It was so
disgusting.
Ugly. I think that bodes well for Miami because if they can play an ugly game and win an ugly game, Ohio State, you just saw them lose 13-10. So I think that bodes well for Miami's chances. However, I do agree with you that I would have to pick Ohio State, but I'm giving it a far better score than you're prefacing. I think that Ohio State can win this game 31-21 or maybe 35-24. I'm giving them about a 10-point win, and I think Miami's going to get 2 or 3 touchdowns. I really think they can get 3 touchdowns in this game. I like Miami a little bit, but I think when I look at them, it's what you just said. The quarterback, I think it's, saying just a little better. The rest of the offense, the receivers, they're a little bit better than Miami. The defense, just a little bit better than Miami. I like Miami's defense.
They're not dog shit.
Good. They're not dog shit.
Yeah.
They're a good defense. I would give them an A- a defense, but I think Ohio State's is an A+, and that's just the way that goes. Ohio State is a little bit better or so at about everything, and so they're going to win this game. I don't think I am ready to maybe disrespect Miami to some degree. I think they're going to actually play pretty well at times in this game.
Yeah, as much as I hate it, I hate saying that they're going to do anything good because shit on them. Who cares?
Yeah.
But I also know what happened last year.
Yeah.
And, granted that when Michigan beat them last year and had them spiraling backing into the playoffs, and then they beat everybody. I mean,
beat everybody's ass.
Dog walked everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't relatively close in any game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, I think, they were like, we finally got to the Big Ten championship game. We ended that drought.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just happened to run into a team who was this much better that day.
Yeah.
They ran into the IU buzzsaw.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's anybody in college football better to come up with a loss than a Ryan Day coach team. He's really good at getting everybody refocused and prepared and making sure that they know what they have to do. And that's pretty much the sole reason why I'm picking them to blow Miami out of the water, because the offense, they're going to spread them out. Miami didn't really see that a whole lot this year. They didn't see the offense that Ohio State can run.
Right.
So they'll run it all over your ass. They'll throw it all over your ass. Which one are you going to stop? And I don't think they're going to do anything. It's going to be like I said, I might agree with you in the 31 part, but I don't think Miami scores 10. More than one touchdown. 10, 34, 31 to 10, something in that area. Maybe 13, but
this is a Michigan guy giving Ohio State that kind of love. He can be unbiased,
not love,
guys. You can't shit on him for hating the Buckeyes, because he will still give you a proper analyst. It's just
I'm telling you, professionalism. That's what it has to be. But no, I know what my eyes saw. And I probably watched at least 7 of their games this year, and everybody that you thought was going to give them trouble never did.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well then they haven't played anybody too good, and maybe Michigan will give them trouble. They didn't have trouble dog walking the shit out of Michigan either. So
I don't know who it was. This was not a popular media person. This was like a former college player or somebody. It wasn't anyone, super famous, but there was a conversation I saw where the guy was saying that the thing we're doing wrong is we're comparing the Big Ten to the SEC. He said, really, the comparison is the Big Ten and ACC. And I think that was meant to be a slight towards the Big Ten.
Oh, it was.
This is a great show of what you just discussed. It's like, okay, this is your bet. You couldn't even get an ACC team in that was worth a fuck to be a conference champion. You had Duke win.
Yeah.
Or screw that up. And it's like, okay, Miami is the best, and they're not even a conference champion. And here we go. Yeah. Ohio State's not a conference champion either. So, like, for what you just said, if Ohio State dog walks Miami, then that person is flat wrong, right?
Absolutely. 100%
I would
wrong.
never.
I think they're wrong regardless.
I think they're wrong regardless. I would never put ACC in the same as the Big Ten. I would say, this ACC 10 years ago, Big Ten, maybe.
10 years ago, maybe.
But no,
when Florida State, Miami, North Carolina all had decent teams, even Boston College.
Mm-hmm.
But now, when Miami is the best that you got and they couldn't make it to the conference title game, get out of here.
You know how you make it more close to the Big Ten is you convince like Notre Dame and maybe another team to join the ACC. Then you start stacking them up pretty well.
Notre Dame's just going to keep dry humping their little golden ticket that they think that they have, and they're not going to do anything. I don't think Notre Dame joins a conference for at least another couple years, but they're just going to continue to rely on their history and their golden fucking helmets and touchdown Jesus, all sorts of shit, and it's gonna work. Probably next year they'll probably be number 1 overall. They
won't play anybody.
They won't play dog shit for teams. They'll play high school guys.
A bunch of B teams.
But, so, I mean, they may have just uncovered the secret,
The secret sauce.
My ass.
Moving on to the next game. Tomorrow, the first game on the slate is Oregon and Texas Tech. This
is the one I'm really wanting to see.
Yeah, we had some people in our comments on YouTube basically saying that we shouldn't be shitting on Oregon, that Oregon is a much better team. and that maybe is better than IU or Ohio State. I think they
Who
made.
shit on Oregon?
I didn't shit on Oregon. I just didn't think that they were as good as other
Yeah.
teams, but they wanted to preface the fact that they thought they were better than IU, and it's like, okay, that's fine.
Well, IU proved it on their field that they're not.
Right.
So next question.
Next question. So anyway, I'm gonna shit on Oregon again. Mostly, I'm taking Texas Tech tomorrow. Two reasons, very clear reasons why. I like their quarterback better and their sack guy, the Bailey. I think that when you have that kind of guy who has 13 and a half sacks, David Bailey's probably going to make a play in a big moment. I like Texas Tech because they've been one of the more complete teams in football. People just don't realize it because Big 12 isn't the same conference that used to be. I'm telling you, Oregon, they don't run the ball as well either. I like Texas Tech running the ball. The guy for Oregon, I think they have the leading rushers only got like 600 and some yards, maybe 700 yards.
Well,
so I'm just looking at it and I'm saying, Texas Tech has 1,000-yard rusher. I like their quarterback a little bit better. Their defense with Bailey is a little bit better than, I just look at it and I'm saying, Texas Tech, I like them to win this game.
I can't look at it and say you're going to be wrong because they absolutely can win. They're very, very good.
But you like Oregon?
I lean Oregon.
Okay.
Only for the simple fact of coaching. Dan Lanning is a hell of a coach, man.
Yeah.
They got to go all the way to Miami. Both teams have a good far distance to travel, yes. But Texas Tech is a little bit closer.
Yeah.
But I don't think travel is going to matter. I think Oregon, being in the Big Ten now,
Oregon has to travel across the country. Is that?
Yeah.
Texas Tech is much. That's literally.
They don't have to go. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Okay. Both teams have to travel a good distance, but Oregon's got to go all the way.
Yeah, that's another factor.
I would think Oregon would win just because of coaching.
Maybe.
I think maybe that would give them a little bit of an edge, but I wouldn't be surprised if Texas Tech won. I really wouldn't be. I think it's going to be kind of like what we saw with Chicago and San Francisco the other night. It's just like they're going to go blow for blow for blow for blow for blow. This could be a 48-45 game. It very well, very easily they could just be putting up point after point after point in this game. So I would lean Oregon. I'm going to lean Oregon slightly, but it wouldn't be surprising if Tech pulled it out.
This one's called the Orange Bowl, correct? Is what
yes.
They're calling this one.
Orange.
Was I going to look? There was something I was going to look at and give you another reason why I was picking Texas Tech.
No. Okay. You need to reword that. You're going to try to spin it in a way where you would be right.
Basically. Well, they're the 4 seed and Oregon's the 5. No, I'm kidding.
Shut up.
I did see that Oregon is favored to win. Vegas has them opened as a 1.5, and now they're a 2.5. So more people are picking Oregon, so I get that. But for me, Morton has only 4 interceptions, and Moore has 8. I think that they take care of the football and they run it. When their running back has 14 touchdowns for 1,000 yards, and Whittington has 6 touchdowns, the 800s. I think they share the ball. They have more of a committee, and I just don't. I think that Texas Tech will pound the rock, have a more balanced style running game and more balance as far as their offense. And they still have a guy with receiving that has more receiving yards with Douglas. So I like the style that I expect to see, which is more pro style Texas Tech. They'll line and run the ball and do things better than Oregon. I also like, although Oregon, okay, they won their first round game 51-34 against JMU. Texas Tech, didn't even play last round, but they beat BYU 34-7 in their last game. I just look at Texas Tech as the better team. Oregon, who have they been able to blow out? I look at that, and I think that matters when you're able to blow a team out. Minnesota was the last one that they were able to beat by like 3 or 4 touchdowns, but every other game has been 2 touchdowns or less, basically. Texas Tech has been blowing teams out. They blew BYU out. They blew UCF out. They blew out West Virginia at 49-0. They blew out BYU again. They've been kicking everybody's ass. And I look at that and I'm just like, you know what? Texas Tech is the better team and more complete team. And I think they're just going to edge Oregon out in this game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you watch the James Madison game, there was a lot of garbage time shit that happened, especially in the fourth quarter. Let me see. Oregon's they have better competition on their schedule too. I mean,
but by how much?
Texas Tech is in that week. Well, Tech's in that week Big 12 or whatever's left of it, and
but
there's just the competition isn't there.
Their last 5 games, they played at Kansas State. They played BYU twice, which was right there. They're ranked. They're right there. They played UCF, not very good. They played at West Virginia. So I understand if we're going to say that those other 3 teams aren't very good. But how much better, in my mind, how much better is Iowa, Minnesota, USC, and Washington? How much better are those teams? Like, just a little.
I don't even think it's close.
It's not.
I really don't. If you compare USC, Iowa, Washington, they were all, I'm pretty sure they were all 9-win teams, 8 or 9-win teams. And they were very, very competitive, especially in the Big Ten games that they had too. So I think the Big 12 is not even remotely close to where the Big Ten's at right now. I would say the Big 12 and ACC are about the same, where it's really top heavy. But, Tech is the best team in that conference for sure, without a doubt. I just think, BYU, how they got that highly ranked, I'll never know, because BYU is just one of those teams. When they get into the top 10 or 15, they're not going to make it in because they have to play somebody who's always going to be better than them at the end of the year.
Yeah. I just think beating BYU twice, blowing them out, that was a better win than any win Oregon has had recently.
I think that just goes to show that they were too highly ranked. I mean, they were not serious. I mean, that maybe you could keep them in the top 20, but they're not a top 10 team. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what college football says. They're just not.
Okay. That's fair. The next game, it's the game. In my mind, it's the game. And we got to touch on the fact that I told you when you picked Oklahoma to somehow, and I said, guess what? They're not beating Bama twice. Bama kicked their ass, and Oklahoma was kicking their ass. It was like they were up 17-0 in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow. And I was texting a Bama fan of ours that we're friends with, and he was like, don't talk to me right now. Like, he was very distraught. And then
that's fair.
Bama turned it on, and I don't believe Oklahoma scored another point. Right? They finished with 17.
They did. No, I had the Oklahoma score correct. It was 24.
Did they get another touchdown?
Yeah, it was either 24 or 27. I'm pretty sure it was 24, but because I thought they were going to win like 24-20. And they scored 24, so I did at least that much right.
Okay. They did. So yeah,
but I didn't see
scored 34-7 after being down 17 points.
Yeah,
they kicked their ass. Where's the scoring summary at here? Because I wanted to see. Here we go. So yeah, they're down 17-0, and then Oklahoma didn't score again until the fourth quarter. Mateer to Burks for a 37-yard touchdown to tighten the game back up. Right, they were down a field goal. It was 27-24. And then Alabama just went down the field and ran the fucking ball in to go up 10.
They're like, you're not coming back. It's okay. Yep.
They had all the momentum. So Bama scored 34 points in 3 quarters. So they played pretty well football after first quarter blanking.
Yeah.
I told you coming in, I was like, if I'm being honest, I didn't want either of these teams because I think that they have a lot of pro players, right? Both teams, Oklahoma and Alabama, have professional ready players.
They're pipelines.
They've been recruiting 4 and 5 stars for years, and unfortunately, IU has a lot of 3 and 4 stars. Their technique and the way they're being coached is what makes them closer to a 5-star type team. I'm a little nervous about this game, but I'm still picking the Hoosiers to win this game because of what they just did with Ohio State. They are ready. I think that they are ready. Shout out to Mendoza for being the Heisman Mendoza, and the fact I think that they are ready. He took the most hellacious hit that I thought should have been a penalty in the very beginning of that Ohio State game, and then he still had the composure to make all those plays late to beat Ohio State. I like that tenacity, so I'm taking the Hoosiers to win this game against Bama.
Yeah, I am as well. I think Alabama, the last time they were in the Rose Bowl, they got beat by Michigan, and Nick Saban had to go, so they have some bad ghosts in that building.
Yeah,
but I think that they're going to come out and they're going to keep it close. I think that IU will eventually pull away in the second half, though. But I think for at least the first 3 quarters, I don't think it gets too out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
Just a good back and forth, and it just comes down to who's gonna be more prepared. And I can't say Signetti's not gonna have these guys ready to go. I think they're gonna come out with a fire in their ass and looking to back this stuff up because they've already got people saying there's no way IU goes through this gauntlet that they're gonna have to go through. It's like, okay,
challenge accepted.
Yeah, challenge accepted. So we're good to go.
He's gonna hold a New Year's Eve party tonight, and he's gonna get a mic like this, and he's gonna say, "They say we can't beat Alabama. They say we can't beat the next one we're talking about. They say we can't beat another two SEC teams. They say we can't beat Ohio State twice. Like he's gonna.
Yeah, bet.
Yeah, I'm with it.
If I had to guess a score, it would probably be a 28-21, maybe. Nothing, not a blowout, but maybe it doesn't even seem that close. Maybe Alabama gets a late score or something to make it a little bit closer. But I think IU's defense will be the difference.
I like an IU late drama, down 17 or down. We'll do 2017. They're down, and then Cooper scores him a late touchdown, just like how they beat Penn State. Late touchdown with a minute left, and we stop them, and they can't do anything, and we win like 24-20. I like that kind of drama because when there's a good team like this, IU isn't the kind of team that's going to blow them out when it's like their first, like, we haven't played an SEC team in years, and the last time we played one, we did not do well. Mm-hmm. So I look at it and I say this is a different kind of test because the SEC, people talk shit all they want, this and that. SEC has beef on both sides. That is the one thing that I look at that is always a factor, is the level of beef they have on both offense and defensive line. They are tested, pro-ready beef. But for the Big Ten, not every team is set that way. Most teams at the top are. But for me, I think most SEC teams, they have dudes on both sides that can either block and create a lot of running lanes, or they can get to the passer and they can be really stout on the defensive line. So that'll be a big test. It'll be like playing Ohio State as far as the trenches. As far as I'm concerned, this is an Ohio State type of trench. But the other things I'm hoping IU is able to take advantage of, get to Simpson, cause some frustrations, if you can play the Ohio State receivers the way we did, we should be able to play with Alabama's receivers as well. I hope that they come out ready to play on defense. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. I hope IU, does their thing.
Yeah. I think that IU's front guys are going to be too fast.
Yeah.
I just don't think, the SEC, while they're used to going, beef on beef, they're not used to the quickness that IU's guys have. They're a little bit faster off the ball, a little bit faster around the outside. And I think if you can get to Simpson with your front four, maybe five, it's going to be a long day.
It kind of reminds me of those years where back in the day with Sam Bradford, Oklahoma, where they would play an SEC team. And the one thing that you saw that was noticeable was, well, damn, like their defense isn't maybe good enough. Their defense isn't going to be quite good enough to stop these teams from scoring. But what they seem to always have is a pass rush. And the offense for Sam Bradford in those years, it's like, damn, they're fast. These guys are fast. So I do see that kind of scenario for IU. It's like they're fast, that it's going to be Alabama's going to be having to be on their A game and predict where they're going because they're not going to beat them there.
Yeah, if you can use your speed and then disguise pressure and make them think you're coming and then you don't. I mean, Signetti's really good at that. He's really, really good about having teams ready to go and play calling in a lot of different scenarios. So I have faith in him to put the guys in the right spot every time, no matter what. But
Pons is, I think, pound for pound, one of the best defenders in the entire college. He's like 5'9". I think of Tre'Davious White, I think, for the Buffalo. That's who he reminds me of, as a small guy that can do all the things a corner needs to do. Pons is awesome. And so I look at that and I say, you know what? You look at him and you just think, oh, I'm just going to go over the top. And it's like, well, but Jermaine Smith was having to really break away to get the catches because he couldn't just – Pons is right there. And it's like, well, it's probably not going to be the most easy catch I've ever had, even though this is only 5'9" or 10. It's like, this is a hard catch to make. So he was trying to create separation as much as he could because when Pons was on top of him, the ball was hard to really get the catch. So I like Pons.
Yeah. And I think if he can play as well as he did against Ohio State, then, I think Ohio State's receivers are class of the entire NCAA.
Yes. They're pro
Alabama's
ready. They're going to send 2 guys in the
absolutely
top 10 or 12, right? I mean, that's how it's
absolutely. Yeah. And I don't think, Alabama is usually a cradle for wide receivers. They don't have the explosive receivers that they've had in years past. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a tall task for IU to defend against them.
Right. I'm looking up real quick the latest mock draft because I thought a week or two ago when I looked, they had, where is it? They got Mendoza going high, which I wonder if he will. Dante Moore also is going to go high. They got Carnell Tate going 4th, which I think he's the highest ranked receiver coming out. Bailey is the highest edge coming out, which we've talked about. Interesting to see if Caleb Downs goes higher than the second receiver, Jermaine, is it Smith? Not
Jeremiah Smith. I think Smith. Jeremiah Smith. I don't think is coming out this year. I think he's going to stay one more year.
Okay, so then they'll just have the one. They'll have the one.
Tate's the only one coming out this year.
Probably top 3 to 5. Tate will go.
Absolutely. So. Tate will be a top 10 pick. And if he's not, teams are stupid.
I think he'll be inside 5, unless the quarterback scenario gets more hectic. Because that's the only thing that ever throws anybody off completely on predicting is how many quarterbacks are going to go, and they're all going to go in the beginning, right? Like,
I think it's only 2.
I think so. I don't think people.
I think it's only 2 QBs.
No offense, I don't think the NFL teams are going to scramble for a quarterback this year in the draft. Could be wrong.
Not at least not right now, but. We'll see what happens.
A year that Arch Manning needed to come out and be like awesome and everything, and no.
Yeah. Next year, the QBs that come out next year it's going to be probably 5 in the top 10,
probably.
But we'll have, like I said, we'll have to wait and see what happens with all
Arch,
that.
Arch could go back.
Mendoza,
year, right? You never know.
If he has to play another year, then I don't think it's going to end up very well. But, like I said, I think it's Mendoza, and then maybe late first round, you maybe think about taking one of the other guys. But Mendoza, I think, is the cream of the crop this year. So if you're the Raiders, if the Raiders end up getting the number 1 pick, I think that's where he's going to go.
Yeah.
And it sucks. But then they could turn around, and they could try to get another pick. Maybe they try to pair him up with
he don't have any
maybe
receivers.
a Surratt or somebody.
He don't have any receivers really right now, but he will have a great tight end. So kudos to him.
He'll have Brock Bowers, and he'll have Janty, and
he'll have a great running back. But they need to get receivers. Honestly, if I'm the Raiders,
badly,
you need a QB and you need a receiver. If you can find a way to get Tate and then get a QB later, maybe that's a better route. But we'll see what they do.
Maybe.
The final game to discuss is Ole Miss in Georgia playing at 8 p.m. on New Year's Day. I'm just gonna shock the world here. I'm taking Ole Miss.
So the fuck am I, bro.
Oh, really?
So am I. And you ain't the only one. Yeah, really. Yeah. I just think it's in the cards right now. I really do.
Lane Kiffin abandons Ole Miss, and you think the Ole Miss is actually going to beat Georgia?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here's my reason, because this is like, for me, it feels almost like that Karen that goes into the grocery market and wants to return something and wants to fight about it and say that she got screwed and this and that, and the woman's like, oh yeah, we'll do that for you, and then the Karen is just sitting there and she's like, and then the person's like, oh, you wanted to fight about it and heckle with me, and she was like, kinda, and they're like, okay, no, we can't take that back, ma'am.
Kinda.
Karen's like, but you have to. It was expired, and this is bullshit. And they like, oh, do you feel better now? Yes, thank you. And it's like, that's how I feel right now, dude. Is I was prepared to argue with you about Ole Miss versus Georgia.
Well, now you don't have to. We can save a little bit of time. Well, because I want to. You can look at it. I know they're playing in the Sugar Bowl, which is in Atlanta, Georgia, but Ole Miss is right there too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not too far away for them.
I know.
So you can't really give them the advantage. If Georgia was playing anybody else, they would probably have an advantage. I just think Ole Miss's offense, I just think it's too tough. And Georgia hasn't been, that juggernaut offense either this year. So I just think that, I know that they beat Ole Miss earlier this year, but it was a good, close game. Yes. So I think if you gave Ole Miss, neutral site, then maybe they could put it on them a little bit, because when they did, I think they lost at Georgia. So I think that they have an advantage. They got a chip on their shoulder right now. They're playing, motivated ball.
Mm-hmm.
They got the bullshit that happened with Lane that got them fired up. I think that they're going to ride a momentum, at least get to the finals.
I kind of like Chambliss a little bit better than Stockton, and I know that's probably crazy to a lot of people.
No, it's not crazy at all.
But so a lot of people are saying that Chambliss has another year of eligibility, even though he's a senior. And then a lot of people will predict him to transfer now that Kiffin left, that he's going to transfer somewhere else or something to play his final year of eligibility.
Maybe.
I like Chambliss better because he's more mobile. Stockton is kind of a pocket guy. And
yeah,
I like Chambliss being a playmaker. And I think even though they barely, like you said, they barely lost in the Georgia game, it was in Georgia. Now I can understand for people saying, well, a Sugar Bowl's in Georgia. So I do.
Yeah, but well.
I get it. But this one is something where people might travel a little bit better. I think that this could feel more neutral than the first game at Georgia.
Yeah. If you think that there's not going to be Ole Miss fans there raising hell, you got another thing coming.
I think that this could be a more neutral game because of it.
It's going to be, yeah.
I know a lot of people are going to pick Georgia, but I think people will be picking Georgia out of habit, out of past experiences. Georgia dominated the ball into that last game. They had the ball 37 minutes. They had 500 yards. Ole Miss's defense couldn't stop them. I just think that they will do a little better job on Georgia this time around because now you have all that game tape. I think they'll come in more prepared. And I know the Lane Kiffin's gone and all, but I just look at this scenario and I think Ole Miss, they were up 35-26 going into the fourth quarter, and Georgia came back. Well, you know why a team like that can do that? Of course, they're talented, but they were at home. So they were at home down 9, and they got their shit in gear, and they scored what they needed in the fourth. But this is a neutral game, and I just think that the Ole Miss is a good enough team to get up 9 going into the fourth. So that tells me right there, they're good enough to win this game. So I'm taking Ole Miss for those reasons.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry I gave you reason to not argue, bud.
I know. I feel not complete at all. I feel empty.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, but that's just my brain's telling me the same thing, about that matchup. So
what can we argue?
It just feels right. Puka didn't catch it.
Excuse me?
Puka didn't catch it.
By the rule, he didn't catch it. And I agree with it. I agree with it. There was the slight bobble. He didn't catch it. But as a person...
we can't argue about that either.
As a person watching the game, he absolutely did catch it. It was unbelievable. He caught it. But falling out of bounds and the dislodgement and everything, getting his feet in and all that, I understand that it wasn't a catch, and I wasn't mad at it was called that way.
Yeah.
But as a person...
And isn't it...
It was absolutely a catch. Like, it was an amazing fucking catch. Like, one-handed, dude. One-handed.
Mm-hmm.
How can you even possibly catch the ball one-handed with the guys? He's got the ball, and you have this guy pulling on his arm. It was one of the most unbelievable catches I think I've ever seen that wasn't a catch, and I agree that it wasn't.
Yeah. And isn't it tinfoil hat? Isn't it something that they happen to have a camera lined up perfectly with that, just so you can see it moving?
Well,
if they don't put that camera in that spot, they don't get that view, and they have to call it a catch.
Conspiracy.
Yeah, buddy.
So that goes like this, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I agree. You're right. Absolutely. I think that if you don't have that direct line of sight from that camera, if it just happened to not be as good of an angle, then they would have gave it a catch. And you know what? In the world we live in, would you been fine with that?
That would have been all right, yeah.
Because
if you don't get that perfect angle,
it was that close and it was that impressive. And when all the angles show something amazing, and then you finally get that last angle, you're almost like,
God, yeah. But what
something.
I would have to, because I don't remember I think they called it incomplete on the field, didn't they?
Yeah, but if you left that angle out, they would have overturned it, don't you think?
But they could have.
I mean, they would have. If they hadn't, we'd be arguing about it now. If we never had that angle showing that it just barely moved to his forearm.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't have that perfect angle, there's every bit of chance that they overturn it. But given their officials this year, he's a cheat code. He's a dick.
Where the fuck did he come from?
BYU.
I think he came from. Did he really come from BYU?
Yep.
See, you talking all that shit. He actually came from BYU. I thought he came from Palomalu's loins.
He might have. He might be his dad. I don't know. I don't know. He's
Are you
he's
my
a he's a
dad?
noose. So
You my
yeah,
dad? He had
yeah,
yeah, he played for the fucking BYU. All that shit talking, and we have like the best
yeah.
receiver at 24 in the NFL, and he came from BYU.
Well, yeah. Usa Nakua, bud. He's a big goose.
All right, well, still don't have nothing to argue about.
I'm sorry, dude.
That's disappointing.
It's what I do.
Disappointing.
It's okay. I do.
All right.
A lot.
Well, you guys, that's our show. We both agreed, and it kind of ended anticlimactically. But thanks for watching, and until then, see you next time.